Ladies and gentlemen, this evening's performance of
The Diz Explorers
will begin in 2 minutes. Excellent
listening
locations are still available all around Showcase Promenade. Due to the use of
alcohol and opinions.
around the lagoon, for your safety, we request that you remain on the promenade side of all railings. During the show, please watch your step and take small children firmly by the hand. Once again, this evening's performance of
The Diz Explorers
will begin in just 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Diz Explorers podcast, where each week we explore the different avenues of the great Disney universe. Here we are again. I hope everybody enjoyed last week's episode without me. The rest of the gang did a fantastic job. I hated missing it, but I had this wicked, ridiculous headache, and there was just no way it was going to happen without me moaning and groaning for the entire time, so this week, besides myself, we've got Adrianne and Jessica. Mr. Milford is on his little 3-day cruise that he booked, so he'll be back, I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday, I think. I'm not sure what the actual dates were, so we'll speak to him definitely next week about his last-minute cruise booking. So, and Melanie is off doing, I believe, kid things, shuttling children around to sporting events. So this week we're going to, I think, do something kind of fun. I mean, I don't know. It'll be fun or embarrassing. I'm not sure which way it's going to go. But today, Monday the 5th, was Fastpass booking day for myself for the trip my family is taking during the beginning of April. So we're a party of 14. It's my parents, my family of 5, my brother's family of 4, and very good friends of ours' family of 3. So I stepped up to book the fast passes this morning for everybody because it was easy enough for me to do and get into work a little late. So we were chatting before the started recording, and I said to Adrianne that I had almost was going to reach out to her over the weekend to try to give me a hand planning this because, as I've said before, I mean, fast passes are now a thing. It's never going away. I've just was, at least the booking of the digital type, not the paper fast passes were awesome. I loved those. I loved that system. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. But whatever, it's gone. It's gone. It's not coming back. So this newer one we have to plan so far in advance, I'm not a big fan of, and even
We've
after
still got it in Disneyland. Just come out west.
Yeah, no, I know. By the time I get out there, it probably won't be though.
Honestly, yeah, probably.
So, so anyway, seemed. I got a little overwhelmed for probably the first time ever trying to plan some sort of a trip. Like the dining thing I've dealt with. That's been as it's, 180 days or 90 days for a long enough time that, kind of used to that. And I could, planning dining is easy. That to me, that's the easier part. Figuring out fast passes along with your times that you've already chosen your dining, looking at park times and what's going on here and trying to, I don't know, it's a lot of moving parts at once, and for the first time I kind of felt and understood how people and first-timers kind of could get overwhelmed, which was weird for me because I'm not a regular by any means, but I've been there enough times that this kind of should be old hat for me, but it just didn't feel that way. And I felt the, like the stress of it was like, almost taking the joy out of it. It's like, what a pain in the ass this is. I was like, just to go and because if it was just my family of 5, obviously it would be easier to pick the fast passes, but I kind of would have been less worried about if we did everything because yes, my kids want to do the major stuff and they don't want to wait in line, but I've also when we've gone, made them slow down a little bit and say, hey, listen, sometimes you have to wait in line, or we are going to wait in line if you'd like to do this, because we're not running around the park trying to get everything done in a 12-hour day or whatever it is. So they kind of know my approach to it and have somewhat accepted it a little bit, because they're not old enough to go run around the park by themselves, so they don't have a choice. And plus, patience is always a good lesson to teach. As long as your kids are, willing to learn, I guess. So anyway, I thought it would be fun if I went through kind of what I picked, and I guess get judged by the board. So, and by the board I mean Adrianne, because I know.
I was gonna say, I think I'm just judge, jury, and executioner today. So
I'll just be a really supportive cheering section, because I don't know what's good or bad. So.
No, but I think it would be interesting to hear if you thought it was good or bad. I mean, I know you've only been out to Disney World once, but even if you thought of it in a Disneyland respect, because there are similar experiences in both parks.
We don't have tiered fast passes, so
right.
I don't really prioritize which ones I need as much as just where I am. So I'm curious to hear.
Exactly. That tiered thing, that's what makes what you just said is pretty much kind of how I go about it. Not even with fast passes. That's how I used to go about, like, whichever direction I went in the park, let's kind of do what's there. And if the lines are a little longer, then so be it. The lines are a little longer here, and we'll get this section done, and then we'll move on to the next. Whereas now, I guess you could kind of do that at the Magic Kingdom, because there is no tiering. So you could get all your fast passes in Tomorrowland and then work your way around and see how you do the rest of the day. But I don't think most people do it that way. So, or maybe they do. I don't know.
Well, let's see what you came up with.
So anyway, all right, so we're getting in there on Saturday. Saturday morning early we'll be in. We're staying at the Polynesian, just for reference. So Saturday, first day, is going to be Magic Kingdom, because just with the kids, it's kind of like a tradition thing. My wife too, she likes to get in there and get over to
you're right there.
Casey's, and we're right there. Yeah, I mean, we'll be rolling into the resort, drop our bags at the bag check, freshen up a little bit, whatever, throw a pair of shorts on if we've had pants on in the car because we're driving, and out to the park. My brother's family and our friend's family are flying in on Friday, so they'll already have had a day, and I believe they're going to Epcot that first day. So I'm not sure what I think they have a test track, and I'm not sure what else they picked for that day. In Epcot, it really doesn't matter. You can only pick one good one in the tier, and then you have to burn the other two on something silly, and then get your fourth for hopefully something else you want. So anyway, we've got so we did Big Thunder Mountain.
So can I ask a question right off the bat?
Sure.
How do you pick what park you want to go to on what day? Is that just based on fast pass availability? How did you decide?
We decided kind of with the park hours, and as I'd mentioned earlier, we did make some dining reservations. Nothing the first half of the trip. We only did 3 the back half of the trip. So we're staying a Saturday through a Friday. So the Tuesday, we're doing the Spirit of Aloha, the Luau, at the Polynesian. So that's right there. So that's a 5:30 show. And then the Wednesday morning, we have a Kona breakfast at 8:50 in the morning. And then for the final night that we're all there together, Thursday, we have a 6:30 at La Hacienda in Mexico Pavilion. So those are the only 3 meals we pre-booked. Everything else is going to be, whatever, snacking on the fly. A flower garden's going to be going on, so there is booths around there. The days we're in Epcot, which is, I'm sure we'll, hit some of those as well. So, when we're traveling as a group like this, they like to go with the early morning stuff. If I was there by myself or just myself and my wife, we'd probably go opposite of early mornings, just because that tends to not be where the crowds are. So there's two theories to it. There's you go and you do whatever you can in that first hour in the morning, and usually. So I mean, the only example I can use is when I was there in September, when I traveled with a group of friends. The morning I went on my own, and I got up and rope dropped Magic Kingdom. It was early morning from 8 to 9, and I got there at 8 and did a bunch of things before 9, and I had about another hour before I noticed that people were really coming in droves. By like 10:15, then as I was heading back towards the hub, I can just really see the mass of people coming in under the train station. So I was like, all right, this is the rest of the people who have the younger kids who don't worry about getting here for rope drop, and this is when they're coming in the park. So this is my cue to leave. So that being said, even though the park opens at 8, I think you have a good solid 2 hours that you can get a bunch of stuff done before you need to start using a Fastpass or booking your Fastpass. And I think, Adrianne, we've talked about this before, that there's no sense getting a Fastpass for a time within the first 2 hours that the park is open.
Yeah, the only time we do is if I'm, like, let's say that I'm going to rope drop to fireworks kind of day in Magic Kingdom, and I want to burn through my first 3 fast so that I can continue to get them throughout the day.
Right.
Because then I can do 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, and then as soon as I've hit mine at 11, I'm free to get them whenever they're available.
Right.
So now, that's the only time that I change that.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Now, I have a silly question. Well, I don't know if it's silly, but, and I probably should know it. So after you burn those first 3, I know you can get a 4th and a 5th and 6th. Can you go through the app to do that now, or do you still have to go to those kiosks? Or those
No,
kiosks
you can go through the app.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You can go through the app, and literally, as soon as you scan your FastPass for your 3rd one, while you're waiting in the FastPass line, you can get your 4th one.
Oh, nice.
And it could, like, let's say you had an 11 to 12 and you used it 11:15.
Right.
You can find one that starts at 11:20.
Oh, wow. Okay, that was going to be my next question, because I've never done it.
Yeah.
That's
what my husband and I did when we went by ourselves last year. I think we had done half park. Like, we did a half park at maybe Hollywood Studios that morning, and we went to Epcot that afternoon. Not Epcot, Magic Kingdom. And we used all of our fast passes early morning and then started just booking Magic Kingdom ones.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, so that's good to know, because there's a couple of days towards the end I think we're going to do split days. So.
And I think we ended up with 7 fast passes that day total.
Nice. So it's almost like the old school.
It is.
Except you don't have to run to the machine to put your ticket in. And
the only place that doesn't work is, well, Epcot and Hollywood Studios now that they're tiered.
Right, because everything's usually sold out by the time you're done.
Yeah, and you can't go back and get a tier 1. Once you've used tier 1, that option is gone.
Really?
So, yeah, it's gone. Like, if you chose Soarin', Frozen Ever After Test Track, you're screwed.
Well, that's some horse pucky.
Yeah, it sucks.
Because I was wondering about that, too. That's some bull donkey. How the hell did they get Man, they better change that. That's
because we almost always pick Soarin'. Because it's our favorite,
right.
Except for, like, unless we had a Garden Grill breakfast or something. But
right.
So what's the logic of that? Why do you think they changed it?
I haven't figured it out yet.
I think for Epcot they did it that way because Soarin' and Test Track seemed to be the only things that were drawing the numbers, and Mission Space kind of when it first opened. So those 2 lines were constantly within an hour of park opening, or an hour and a half to 2 hours, and they stayed that way until the park closed. So now it forces, I think the reasoning at Epcot for the tiering was they forced you to pick one, and then you either have to, so what the strategy is now is, which we did on the day we're going to Epcot, you pick a fast pass for one, for like...
You rope drop the other.
And you rope drop the other. And so you can do both in one day, and you just gotta... You know what I mean? If you do the fast pass for... So, like, we did a fast pass for, I believe, Soarin', because, like, my parents don't enjoy that. So we can hustle a little bit and head right to Soarin' when the park opens, and my parents do like Test Track, so... I'm sorry, vice versa.
Right.
So we can go over to Test Track and boogie over there, and my parents can... I'm still doing it backwards. Whatever. We're going to go do one.
You rope drop Soarin' and you got your fast pass for Test Track.
Yes.
Like in your back pocket.
Thank you.
I hear
yes. And then my parents don't have to run to get to the rope drop of the one that they don't want to go on, just so we're all together. They can just mosey over towards Test Track, and we'll head over there to do the fast pass. Or whatever the hell order I did it in. So, and then the next day we go to Epcot, you have to put Frozen in the mix now, because since that's in the tier. And then you got to pick whatever you want for the other couple. So
Yeah, we always end up with the Mickey character meet.
yeah, that's
always
what we do.
that
too.
one.
Yeah.
And Mission Space, because it's the only other slight thrill attraction that there is. That's tier 2.
Yeah, I think that's what we did too. I might have done a Spaceship Earth on the second time as well, 'cause sometimes that does get fairly busy, even though it's a constantly moving thing. But
Yeah.
all right, so our first day, Magic Kingdom. So we got a Big Thunder Mountain at 11:20, Jungle Cruise at 1:45, and Mine Train at 3:25. I didn't book these. My buddy booked these before I got a chance to. So, I mean, it is what it is. Those are fine. We're going to be at the park the whole day. So, in between all those, we'll hit what we can do in between. I mean, you try not to... These are all somewhat in the same area. Big Thunder Mountain and Seven Dwarfs. Big Thunder and...
if you walk around the back way through by Haunted Mansion and stuff.
Yeah, Big Thunder and Jungle Cruise are the same area generally. You come out of Big Thunder, you cut through by Country Bears, and Jungle Cruise is right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to go all the way over to Fantasyland. But that's good that it's later in the day. And generally, I know you have an hour window. Some people don't go right away when it starts. We generally are right there for when the time begins for it. Unless we're rushing from somewhere else or coming late from a meal or something like that, do we rarely, go on.
And sometimes we do, like, when we're at Hollywood Studios, I know we're not there yet, but when we're at Hollywood Studios, I'll make my Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror back to back, and I'll hit whichever one I get first at the very last 15 minutes so that I can then hit the very front part of my second Fastpass, since they are literally right there together.
Yeah, I got you. Otherwise, you're standing around waiting.
Right. And it's literally a 2-minute walk from one attraction to the next.
Yep. See, now the tricky thing that's going to be, now that I'm thinking about it, because the parade is now at 2 o'clock, not at 3. So Jungle Cruise is 1:45 to 2:45. So if you're in that area, you're kind of trapped.
Yeah.
To get back over to Mine Train. So it may be worth hanging around, do Pirates or something like that, and hit the Jungle Cruise towards the end. I mean, it's only about a 15-minute ride anyway, but including loading and unloading. So if you get there 2:30ish in line, depending on how the line is, if you're over in that area, you're trapped there anyway, because the parade's coming through and you're not getting across. It starts in Frontierland and comes towards Main Street. So by the time you got out of Jungle Cruise, you could probably, by 2:45, it's done in the past. In
that area, so you'd be able to kind of follow it through towards Fantasyland.
Yeah, it's past Liberty Square, so you'd be able to go around by Haunted Mansion, Small World, Rapunzel bathrooms, and go that way.
Right.
And, all the way around into Fantasyland instead of cutting.
And depending on the lines for Haunted Mansion, you could possibly hit it on the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, if it's 20 minutes or less, I'll jump in line. It's not a big deal. So that's what we have for that day.
Or lunch. Sorry.
What's that?
I said or lunch.
Yep. Yeah, or lunch. Yeah, I don't know what we're food wise. I don't know. Other than those meals, it's going to be whatever kind of everybody's in the mood for and wherever. So that's Magic Kingdom Day. And I've still not seen Happily Ever After, so I don't know if that is the night we will stay late and check it out. The parks close early. It's 9 o'clock pretty much every park the whole time we're there. There's a few late hours for Epcot and Animal Kingdom. But other than that, it's basically 9 to 9, all 4 parks every day, which is fine. I mean, because being with the kids, it's not like we're going to be out all hours anyway. Especially with my youngest being 5.
Right.
So that's Saturday. Sunday is studio day, because there is early hours at the studios at 8 o'clock. So we will get there for rope drop then. and probably go right to Toy Story Mania because that's a lot of people's favorites. I have a Fastpass for Toy Story at $9.50, and then a Fastpass for Tower of Terror for a handful of them. Whoever wants to go, I have a feeling that one's going to end up getting canceled out for something because I feel like my kids are going to wuss out on it. So, which is fine. I'm not going to force them. And then we have a Star Tours at 2:30. And if it was up to me, I would leave the park then, but I know my brother and sister-in-law and the kids really like Fantasmic a lot, so I'm told at least they are gonna, which means my kids are gonna want to see it too, just because all the cousins are gonna want to be together, so which is fine. You got to queue up a little longer to wait for that one than I care for. That's been always my downfall, so we had thought of maybe getting rid of the Tower of Terror Fastpass, and those who wanted to go on it, you got to wait in line and get a Fastpass for Fantasmic. Just so you're
okay, but is Fantasmic tier 1 or tier 2?
I don't remember. I'd have to look.
Hang on, I'm trying to find it. Because if it's tier 2, then you don't have to. You can just try to grab one as your 4th.
That's true. Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think of that. See, that 4th thing is not like in my train of thought because I just never have used it before. But I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of it this time.
It's really good.
Oh, you know why I never bothered with it? Because when they first started doing it, you had to go to one of the in-park kiosks to get it.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not waiting in that friggin' line. I'd rather wait in the line for the attraction than wait in the line to get the Fastpass for the attraction. Because the lines were that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you were waiting sometimes 45 minutes an hour to get the other Fastpass. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see, Hollywood Studios.
So if that's the case, if it's on a tier 2, then
it's my stuff says tier 1, but
you're probably right. It probably is, because I believe when they used to do wishes, well, there's no tiering in the Magic Kingdom, but Illuminations, I know in Epcot is a tier 1, I think, as well. So if you pick that for your Fastpass, you're not doing anything else.
Right.
So why is the Magic Kingdom the only one without tiering?
Because there's there's 30 attractions, so everybody's always doing something.
And Animal Kingdom doesn't have tiering either. It just has this weird thing right now while Pandora is so popular.
Yeah.
Oh, but it normally doesn't.
It normally doesn't. And really it still doesn't have tiering. It's just there are 2 attractions in Pandora and you can only Fastpass one of them.
You can only choose one, right? So it's a tier, but it's not, because that's the only those are the only 2 attractions affected by it. Because you could get Flight of Passage and Everest and the Safari or Kali or any of the other big ones.
And do you think the Magic Kingdom would need it, or are there enough e-ticket attractions that it really doesn't there's not one that's ridiculously longer than the rest all the time?
Still the Mine Train, that's it. And Space Mountain. And honestly, Space Mountain always has a line from park opening to closing.
That's here. Yeah. That's true in here too.
I mean, it just is. It's just one of those. I mean, Thunder and Splash will get lines, but
it's not the same though.
But they don't exceed an hour.
No.
Yeah.
Typically.
I mean, even on a not peak time, like this month, January and February before spring break season starts, I bet you there's not a day that Space Mountain doesn't get near an hour and a half and hold it for most of the day. It may taper off later on, but there's no nighttime parade, so nobody's leaving to queue up for that. You got the fireworks show, but I don't know. It's popular, people like it, but I don't know if it's if the park empties out and everybody heads to the front for that, because you're only waiting for that. There's no Celebrate the Magic before it anymore, because it's kind of what the fireworks show is. I guess it's both things all
Is
together.
there not? I thought there still was.
Are they still doing it? I don't
know.
I thought
honestly.
I thought they stopped it because there's so much projection with Happily Ever After.
I mean, it's entirely possible. I have no idea.
I don't know. I've never seen it. I never watched the video of it. I didn't watch any Parks Blog streams of it. I was like, this one, let me just wait and see. So I will be
see how that worked out for you.
Pleasantly surprised. Yeah. All right. So studios. That's what we have, and probably end up staying for Fantasmic. I really like the Star Wars fireworks. I wish you can do both, but you can't because they do them at the same time, which boo on them, because there ain't a hell of a lot more to do in that park.
Exactly.
And, as my brother said to me this morning, he was like, I really don't want to go back to studios. One day is fine or whatever we do. I said, no, I agree with you. I said, if kids don't want to do Phantasmic, I said, I'd be out of there as soon as our Star Tours thing was done at 2:30 and go somewhere else. Either
Definitely.
Back to Animal Kingdom or, my choice would be Epcot, but it's not, the kids aren't going to wander around while I stuff my face. So
Exactly. I have the same struggle.
I know. So anyway, the Monday, day after, we have Animal Kingdom because there's an early morning for that too. So our plan for that is, let's see what I booked here. So I got a flight of passage for the first available time, which was 11 o'clock in the morning. So it's perfect.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and actually, I could have picked, or there might have been one earlier slot. I think I did it at 11 because that just seemed like a good, I don't know, it was nice. Maybe
A good time.
have something to eat beforehand or whatever. So I got flight of passage at 11, Everest at 12:40, and then we wanted to do a safari close to dusk, so I got one 5:50. So 5:50 to 6:50. So I'll see as it's. I don't know what time it's going to be sunsetting down there. I know will have moved the clocks ahead, and I know it's in the south, so it stays lighter longer anyway. So I figured that was a good time slot because then the next one after that was later. It was like 6:45 to whatever the last one of the park is. So that was too late. My brother was like, let's try to do one for sunset. So the theory behind this day is we're going to get there, rope drop, and do an early morning safari as well, because those are always good too. So if we catch
Are you interested in a Navi River journey at all?
I think we were going to try to get that for another day or a split park. But yes, I do want to. My brother and them, they all went there because they ran the marathon in November, the Wine and Dine.
Mm-hmm.
So they went and they saw both of those things, and my parents then. So my family and our friends have not seen any of them yet. Yeah, I definitely want to do. No, I definitely want to see all of it. So either I'll try to get. It's probably going to be sold out by the time we get out of the safari that late. So
yeah, but I was going to say if you rope dropped Navi with early morning, you said that it had early morning
yes, it was 8 o'clock
hours.
Early March. Yeah,
you could because everybody's going to run a flight of passage. You could
probably
rope drop Navi and then still have 30 minutes of the extra magic hours to run to safaris because you're not going to get a line for safari till close to 10.
You're right. I didn't even think of that. That's a good idea. That's a real good idea. Yeah, it's all right. So there's our plan. See, I told you I should have talked to her first. So now I got to write all this down so I don't forget in 2 months.
Listen, I'm literally looking at my spreadsheet from my last trip right now to remember. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep better notes on this one because it's been a while since we've traveled with a group this big and with all the kids being older and this. So I really want to keep track of
how you do it
for research purposes, and then to talk about after, just as a trip thing, and because it helps. Because then I think it'll, if I have something to go to for whenever the next time we go is, it's kind of a better. Listen, this is how we did last time. This is what you guys liked and didn't like, type deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think it's good for that.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I think, and then we'll be at the park for the day. The good thing is nobody has an interest of doing Rivers of Light again.
Oh, right?
Because I asked my brother, because I forgot that they were only there for, I think, 4 days because they did a long weekend just based around the race. So I asked him, I was like, I said, you guys did Rivers of Light last time? He said, yeah. I said, what'd you think? And he was like, I was like, right? I was like, you didn't hate it. I said, but it's not like, he was like, we waited way too long for it. And he said, and by the time, because they did standby, they didn't fast pass it like we did. And he's like, I don't know. It didn't, I was like, yeah, that's how I felt about it too. I said, we did it. It was okay.
It was lovely.
But I really don't have a burning desire to do it again.
Yeah, we did a dining package. So we did Husker House.
Oh, okay.
And then River of Light, and to kind of, sneak in and get a fourth fast pass.
Yeah.
And Tusker House was worth it. but Rivers of Light was not.
Yeah. No, Tusker House is great, but yeah, no.
It was great.
Yeah, it was just really. I remember with all the hype and everything. And I know I talked about it on here when we saw it. I was just so underwhelmed by it.
Yep.
And I can't even be sorry about it. I'm like, it just doesn't. I mean, I don't know. And it's not even because it didn't have fireworks. I just didn't. I don't know. Just didn't get it.
There's no magic. That's the problem.
No.
There's no Disney to it.
No. I mean, it was cool what they were doing, but it just didn't. There was no like story. Like, I don't know. It didn't flow to me. It didn't just do anything. I don't know.
And like, I don't love Fantasmic, but
no,
at
I
the
don't
end
either.
with all the characters out on the boat, and I mean, at least there's some Disney magic to it. That's just pretty pictures on water.
Right. Yeah. Fantasmic doesn't make any sense either if you think about it.
No, it makes zero.
It makes zero sense. But I know the kids like it because there is a ton of characters. There's, the Maleficent dragon is cool. The Jafar snake, I like that part of it. I like that stuff. The bang when they start the Pocahontas scene always makes everybody jump. So that makes me laugh. But other than that, it literally, if you think about it, that show makes zero sense.
No.
It's like there's the story just doesn't make any sense. Now, I know, Jessica, I guess the one in Disneyland I think is better because it doesn't have that awkward Pocahontas scene smacked in the middle of it.
No, it doesn't. And I honestly think the reason it's better is just because it's more in your face. I mean, you're 10 feet from the boats. So it's much easier to forget about the fact that the plot makes no sense and just be amazed by... Because when the special effects are that close,
right,
they're much more impressive,
Yep.
So if, like, I watched a live stream of... They did a Fantasmic live stream from Disneyland a couple months ago. And it definitely was less impressive watching it on zoomed out. You're kind of like,
right.
Okay. But when it's, in your face, it's different.
Yeah, no, I believe it. I believe it. Yeah, see, if you get too close to the one here, you just get sprayed with water the whole time. If you're in, those first 3 rows, you get the overspray from the damn mist, especially if it's windy.
Yeah, so far, I've never experienced that in Disneyland. I wonder if they blow air on it or something. I don't know.
I just don't get that close. I don't need to be that close to the railing.
That does happen with World of Color. If you're in the front, you get soaked.
Yeah, you get pretty. I mean, you can get pretty wet here. All right, so that's our Animal Kingdom day, and then I'm very interested to see all the new stuff at night. I definitely am dragging the big camera here to get tons of new pictures of that land and because it's all new stuff. So I just want to get pictures.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear your take on it because I love it.
Yeah, I'm very interested. I've stayed away from. I mean, I've seen pictures and shots, but I haven't oversaturated myself by either watching people's periscopes or any of that other stuff on it. So I really don't, other than some of the promo stuff they had before it opened, I really don't have much idea of what it's going to look like at night. Mm-hmm. And even during the day for that matter. I've looked at stuff, but nothing to any extreme amount. You know what I mean? I really am unfamiliar with, other than just looking at the map and seeing what the layout of the walkway is. But other than that, I really, I haven't educated myself much on the whole place. So, which is exciting to me because then I'm, going in as an explorer. I'm going to explore. I'm gonna wear a pith hat and get all Magellan in there.
Oh my god, I love it.
All right. So anyway, next on the Tuesday, what the hell do I have here? Tuesday, Epcot. So there's no early morning. Epcot is open late that night from 9 to 11. It's got late hours. So that's where I was confusing myself earlier when I was trying to figure it out. So I have a Fastpass for Soarin' at 9:55. So we will rope drop over to Test Track. Those who want to ride it can ride it. My little guy is not going to be tall enough. I know that. So I will probably stay out with him and then either do the rider swap, I guess, because I've never done that. Oh no, we've used that before, so now I know how that works. That always eluded me for years too. I was like, how the hell does that work? What do you have to do? Who do you have to talk to? But now we did it, I believe, last time, so now I kind of know what's going on with that. And it benefits the other kids because, they get to ride it twice in a row. And actually, my son's probably just going to be like, I'm just going to go in the single rider line and just ride it a million times in a row.
Heck yeah.
Because that's what he did last time with my wife. And then I did a Mission Space because I know my daughter likes it, and she'll enjoy the new one, and I'll just keep my mouth shut about how dumb it is. And I know my niece and nephew do enjoy it. They liked the new one when they went. You know, my sister-in-law was like, "What the hell happened?" I was like, "I don't know." I said, "You're talking to me." I said, "If you listen to the podcast back in September or November when I did my trip report from them," I said, "you can hear me complain about it." I said, "But yeah, I don't know what they did." I said, "They dumbed it down beyond dumbing it down." But anyway, so did a thing for that, and then we did Spaceship Earth as the third one I did for Epcot, and they're all in the morning. Everything's done. Oh no, it's not. So yeah, 9:55 for that, 11:20 for Mission Space, and then 1:45 for Spaceship Earth. So that'll be like an after lunch type deal.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Spaceship Earth.
I do too. It's my wife and I's favorite attraction there for sure. So yeah, it would definitely hit. So probably it's weird because let's see, Mission Space. We'll probably head back. I'd say we probably will head back over to the land to have something to eat. And then, because I'm not going to wander into World Showcase to eat and then come back all the way to the front of the park for Spaceship Earth. So that's kind of weird time for it. So if we hit that right at 1:45 and then head over to World Showcase and check out all the flower and garden stuff and whatever, and then it's just the evening end of it then. And for those, because not everybody in my family enjoys Illumination, so. Oh no, what is that? That's Tuesday. Okay, so we have, anyway, we're not going to be doing much. After Spaceship Earth, we're probably going to be heading back to the Polynesian because we have our dinner show. We have the luau at 5:30. We have to check in at 4:30. So we'll probably head back after Spaceship Earth and relax. Kids go in the pool, whatever. And then my parents graciously offered that after the luau, if we wanted to go to Epcot to do late hours, they would just hang with the kids at the resort. So
what good parents.
I know. I'm only hoping that the rooms are somewhat close together. I mean, we did a travel with and all that other stuff, but we all have studios. There's no one bedrooms or lock-offs or anything else. So I'm hoping that we're all somewhat close, so that's easier for them. If not, then it is what it is.
Right.
So after the luau, I think that's our plan. And you know what? I don't care. Then if that's the case, then I'll go sit. We can go sit down at Trader Sam's on the outside or whatever, and the kids can hang out for a little while, and then can go put them to bed, and then I don't know, leave one phone in there on FaceTime, and then go back to Trader Sam's. Be like a baby monitor.
That's hilarious.
They'll be so tired.
And a very good idea.
They'll be so tired they're not going to wake up anyway. So that's Tuesday, and then Wednesday. I don't know if I did anything for the last 2. Oh yes, I did. Wednesday did Magic Kingdom again. So we did some stuff in the morning that we didn't do the first day. So I figured if we get there for park opens at 9. Hit some of the things first thing in the morning that they want to do, maybe Space Mountain again for those who want to do that, possibly Thunder again, because then I did an 11:20 Splash Mountain, 1:20 for Peter Pan, and then Pirates at 2:30. So, and then whatever else in between. I'm sure there's a Haunted Mansion that can be in there. I know got to go to Barnstormer and Dumbo and those, but Dumbo I don't generally waste a Fastpass on because you get the pager, the kids go running around in the little play area, and then you're good to go.
I tell you what, that play area freaks me out now. We went, I mean, it's been years, honest to goodness, years, but my daughter was 2 maybe, and they were running around and kind of insane in there.
Yes.
And some little girl kicked her in the nose.
Oh boy.
And they were climbing, I mean, normal playground stuff. I'm like, oh,
yeah, no,
this might be more stressful than staying in line.
You can't just sit and not watched for that reason because of those parents who do that and don't pay attention to what their kids are doing, and then it turns into it's like a giant friggin' caterpillar room from Toy Story 3.
Oh, yes.
It's just a goddamn disaster. Oh man. So speaking of, I'm trying to find where it went because it's relevant to the Polynesian because it just came out today. By the time I find it, I'm gonna waste a lot of time here. So anyway, here it is. So Tambu Lounge, home of the famous Lapu Lapu, I guess is starting to have morning drinks.
Yes, I saw that.
You saw that? Okay. So I had shared that on Facebook with the people traveling with us, and I said, "Oh, look, now we have breakfast. Now we have our breakfast menu set for every morning." So they have some good drinks on there. Your classic mimosa, a Bloody Mary, a Lapu Lapu, and then 2 other rum-based rum and juice drinks. So I'm very much looking forward to trying some of those. I didn't look too much into the article as far as like what time it opens and all that other stuff. So I'd put it on Twitter, and people were like, "Oh, what time is it open? Is it opening at 9 in the morning?" Well, one could only hope, but probably not. It's probably like a lunchtime thing. I don't know what time Tambu Lounge normally opens, so I would assume this would be much earlier than that. So anyway, so after the luau, so then Wednesday, since we're staying in the Polynesian, I did a Kona Cafe breakfast at 8:50 in the morning. So that's why our first Fastpass that day isn't until 11:20. So it's kind of a slow morning. No reason to rush and go crazy. And then our thoughts of that was after we were done at Magic Kingdom, probably go back to maybe Animal Kingdom again and see if we can do other stuff that we didn't do. I know my brother wanted to do It's Tough to Be a Bug and things of that nature. We'll probably won't get on any of the Avatar stuff a second time. I wouldn't think, because those Fast Passes are going to be sold out by the time we have to use our third Fast Pass at Magic Kingdom, so I would assume those are going to be a one and done unless we wanted to go there another morning.
Right.
And then the Thursday, we did an Epcot day again, because then we have the dinner at La Hacienda, so I don't know if that's that's kind of a strange thing too, because with its tiered system, so since we were doing the other two already, and this one we would probably do the same thing. So I did a Living with the Land at 9:05. So what we will probably do is rope drop and head right to there, and those who want to do Soarin' can go on Soarin' right at 9 o'clock when the park opens. Oh, I'm sorry, that's an early Magic Day too, so 8 o'clock. So we can kind of do the same thing. Head over to Test Track if people want to do that a second time. Hit Test Track and then boogie over to Soarin'. And if time allows, and you can do a Soarin' standby before you have to get on our boat ride at 10 o'clock. Or if the line's not crazy and that Fast Pass expires, and we just do walk up for Living with the Land, that's fine.
Right.
And then we do.
And you had mentioned doing rider swap before too, because if your group is splitting, get them to get rider swaps for the other attractions.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, Test Track would be the only one, because I guess both my parents like that one, so and my little guy's not going to be tall enough, so.
Right.
Yeah, so unless one of them doesn't want to do it a second time, that's fine. Soarin', they don't go on, so I don't have to worry about that. He liked that, so he came on with us last time.
I love Soarin'.
I love that too, and I know people still complain about the CGI and this, that, and the other thing. I don't really care.
I don't care. I love it.
I love it too. It didn't bother me, and honestly, I didn't notice some of the things that everybody was nitpicking about because I just don't study it that much. I get in there,
enjoy it,
and I just friggin' enjoy it. It's that simple. I loved the old one. Got choked up every time. The new one.
I love all of them. I love them.
I love the new one. I love the new one even more because you get to fly over Epcot at the end, and it was like a blubbering mess when it first came. I used to get choked up when going over Disneyland, because Christmas time, Tinkerbell, fireworks. I'm like, yay! I kid you not. When the first time we saw the new one, and I think it was when my wife and I were there by ourselves, and it flew over and saw Spaceship Earth and everything else. I nearly lost. I had a hard time not having full tears running down my face. And afterwards, I'm like, I think she looked at me. She was like, "What's?" She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "You don't understand." I was like one of my favorite attractions going over my favorite park. I'm like, it's like, oh.
I know.
So, and then we did a late Frozen. We did a Frozen Ever After right before our dinner reservation, so we have that at like 5:30.
Yeah.
So, and that'll round out that night, and that'll round out the trip. Friday, we're supposed to be leaving. Those that are flying, their flight is until late at night. They have to catch like a 4 o'clock Magic Express. We are driving. I know usually my father likes to get on the road early that morning, but being that we have Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to try to persuade him to at least maybe get half a day in maybe probably at Magic Kingdom again, just for the kids to hit some of their favorite stuff, even if we just go in and hit some of the mountains or split up. One of us takes the older two to a couple of the mountains. I'll take the little guy, and Small World, maybe Peter Pan again, whatever. And if we're on the road by 12, 1 o'clock, it's not
totally good. Yeah.
It's fine. I know it's a long ride to Connecticut, but we're going to spend one night anyway, so there's no reason to do 16 hours of driving on the first day.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that sucks on that drive is once you get pretty much past the top of Virginia, you're slim pickings on where to sleep, because you don't want to stop in New Jersey anywhere. Well, there's just no place. It's not like in the southern states where there's nicer stuff on a lot of rest areas, or off the highway, off of 95. Like once you get over the Delaware Memorial Bridge, it's pretty much just highway and service areas. So
yeah, it's no fun.
No, it's not. And that's, top of Virginia is about 5 hours for us. So if we make it to there or mid-Virginia on the first day, then that's fine. Then it's, 8-9 hours, and then you're home. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. The savings is extra mental, if that's even a word. So, anyway, wasn't planning on talking about this the whole time, but I don't know. I think that it seems like a fairly good plan.
Yeah, everything sounded good to me.
We'll see how all the fourth ones work out. I really going to try to use that a lot this trip, since most all this stuff is morning to early afternoon based.
Yeah. And
being that we're not bound to so many ADRs, I was a little bummed we couldn't do one or two more. But like I said, I know my kids aren't huge adventurous eaters. My wife is to an extent. I would have liked to get in there for Boma for a breakfast or something, or even Sanaa, but
yeah. I will say though, our last trip in December was kind of like what you're describing now. Like we didn't have a ton of ADRs, and we kind of had a lot of free time almost, and it was the best trip we've taken in years.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I know they talked about doing a little bit, maybe some mini golf. I know my friend, my brother too, they like the water parks. I don't have a desire to go there. Last time we went, my oldest he liked it. My daughter didn't really want to go on anything. She was a little nervous. This was 4 years ago, so I know they're much older now, and she'd probably have a great time, but I don't, this is one of those trips where, we're kind of being cost effective to some, so that's why we're limiting the ADRs as well. I mean, the Luau is an expensive show,
right.
and similar like for when we did Hoop-de-Doo, I don't want to sit all the way in the back, so we got tier 1 seating, so it's expensive. It's whatever, near $70 I think, or something for adults. I mean, there's a little bit of a DVC discount, I believe, but not a hell of a lot. And I really enjoy the show. I know it's campy, but at least the front half of it, I enjoy the food, because it's more or less the Ohana dinner, less some of the things. I know people complain about it, and they say the food isn't good sometimes, or the show is dumb or whatever, but you got to take it for what it's worth. You want a real luau, go to Hawaii.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Go to Alani.
Yeah, go to Alani and tell me how much more expensive it was to go out there to see it. I like it. You take, like, the same thing like with Soarin'. You take it for what it is.
Right.
I don't know what you think you're getting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, the story's campy. It's been that way for years. But once the story part is done and, like, you know, towards the end of dinner, and then, like, the real part of the show comes on where it's no more characters and scripted lines and everything, it's fantastic. Who knows?
Who knows?
And staying at the Polynesian, there's plenty of stuff to do around that resort. The pool is flipping awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a deluxe resort, so you always gotta scan your band to get in and out. So it's controlled. You're not getting resort hoppers in there. And Captain Cook's is right there to get as much Dole Whip as you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the outdoor, you know, the Pineapple and I's right around the corner too, and then you got the outdoor patio for Trader Sam's once that opens at 4. So I don't really mind if we have a bunch of downtime hanging out at the Polynesian. I love that resort. And honestly, last time when we went, we ended up going there a few times just to take a break from the Magic Kingdom or wherever and just taking the monorail over there and hanging out for a couple hours. My son ended up throwing a football around with some kids on that green area, kind of where they do the torch lighting ceremony. And we sat and got like some awesome nachos from inside Captain Cook's and had a drink, and it was freaking amazing. It was cool. So I don't know. So that's that.
Yep, good planning. I'm proud.
Oh, thank you.
Give the Jedi Master seal of approval.
Seal of approval. Good.
Now go back and second guess yourself and change everything in the
That's
next
right,
60
yeah.
days, because that's what I do.
Exactly. I'm sure. See, that's, you know, I'm saying to myself, as me and my brother are doing it, I'm like, we can always move this or move that. But now, the more I think about it, I'm like, you know, we're not really going to be able to, because it's a busy week. You know, it's just still a spring break week. So I don't think it's going to be super nutty crowded, because it's towards the end of the spring break run this year, because Easter is the week before. So I think that's going to be the week that's crazy.
Yes.
Which is good. So I think hopefully it'll be just a little bit more manageable. And, you know, I haven't even looked at menus for Flower and Garden to see what's going on.
Didn't they just come out today?
I think they did, because I know I was trying to find some stuff last week and I couldn't. There was nothing printed. There was nothing out yet. So, but I haven't gone and looked yet just to see what's what. If there's anything different or preview or what gardens and play areas are out. I don't know. I like Flower and Garden.
I love Flower Garden. It's my favorite festival.
Yeah, I mean, I like Food and Wine, but it's crazy and it's chaos, and sometimes it's just like too much. It's like there's just too much to try. Mm-hmm. This seems much more controlled. There's, you know, half the amount of booths, and the gardens are beautiful. I can wander around the butterfly house for, you know, 45 minutes taking pictures of stuff. like a weirdo. So wander around there with my, you know, DSLR like I know what I'm doing.
We all pretend it's okay.
It's the only time I use that camera is when I go on vacation. I never pick it up when it's in the house. Ever.
I know.
Anything. It's insane. And then when I get there, I'm mad because then I'm fooling around with it like on the fly, and I'm like, I'm not getting any good pictures because I don't know what I'm doing.
In there.
Yeah. So, I don't know. What do you think, Jessica? You can't wait to plan a trip to Walt Disney World, right? This sounds like fun, doesn't it?
Well, it sounds so much more confusing and complicated and I don't know if when I go to Disneyland, I usually go for 2 days. So the idea of planning, 5 days at a time overwhelms me enough. And then with the tiering and, with Disneyland, you can't plan your fast passes ahead of time, even if you wanted to. So it's definitely a different mindset to be like, okay, I need to figure out where I want to go today. And even just sticking to one park most of the day, because I hop back and forth all day long. So it's completely different. I'd totally be starting from scratch if I were to plan a trip.
And can I say that, like, every time I start researching and planning a Disneyland trip, it stresses me out that I can't plan ahead.
Oh, that probably kills you.
Oh my God, it's terrible. I'm like, what do you mean I just show up? I don't understand.
And you don't even know what park you're going to be in all day because you'll probably be in both all day.
Right. I'm like, I don't. What do you mean I only need 2 days? I need 5 to fully experience it. I'm telling you, it stresses me out every time.
I'm psyched for that. I can't wait to just walk out of the whole, our whatever we stay whenever we go there and be like, all right, we're going to go here and let's see where the day brings us. Cause that's like,
Well, yeah, if you stay
awesome.
on property, you have to walk through downtown Disney, and then you can either go left into Disneyland or go right into California Adventure, and that's all your choices. So
That's fantastic. I love every minute of that.
Keeps it really simple.
I do have to say though, Jessica, I can understand where you're coming from, where it seems just like we feel it's weird that you're not planning for 6 months before you're going there. The big advantage you have is if you came out here, whether it be with your friends or met your family or whatever, the fact that you don't have young children to deal with actually probably makes it a lot easier, because then, not that you're not going to go on those attractions, but you don't have to base your days around, okay, I got to make sure I get in stuff in Fantasyland. I got to, have to do this, and this, so they feel like they enjoyed it, while the older kids and the adults do the thrill ride stuff and things of that nature. So,
right, yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have to split your time in that respect. You can just kind of go and do.
Yeah, and I also was thinking about little things like I don't have to worry about where is stroller parking for this attraction.
Right.
It's in a different place than it is in Disneyland and that kind of stuff.
No,
so
you're right.
I think I'm in a better position to just kind of roam around and figure it out.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because you can still do... I think people think it's impossible to just show up and not have anything planned. I mean, it's going to make it more difficult, especially depending on the time of year you go, but
as long as you manage your expectations, you're fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're
what overwhelms me as someone, I only went there one time, so I really have very little experience, is kind of the amount of choices, just the number of hotels you can stay in, the number of parks that you can pick per day, the number of restaurants in each of those parks. As someone that has much simpler options in Disneyland, that is what seems overwhelming, that I don't even know where to begin,
Right.
Yeah, no,
there's just so many options.
Yeah, because you got to start 6 months out. You got to plan your dining. Park hours and stuff usually are about on par with 6 months. They kind of have to. So, yeah, it almost plays into, you got to look at the calendar to see what parks are open either late hours or early morning hours, and then see where you want to eat depending on where you're staying. It's like it's like a puzzle.
And you have to think, okay, like if I'm going to, all right, so I'm planning for July, so we've already made our ADRs for our July trip, and I'm sitting there talking to my husband, and I'm like, okay, well, you have to remember, you have to think almost from past experiences. The last time we did it this way, we were exhausted the next day. So do we really want to get up for an 8 o'clock ADR if we're staying for happily ever after and, until park closes at Magic Kingdom or something. So it is overwhelming. I'm an insane person and I enjoy it, but
that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. It's just, you have to spend a lot more time before you get there thinking about it. Whereas me, I could just show up and be like, all right, I don't know what's happening today,
Yeah.
And my sister and I are the same. We revel in the insanity almost. And
that's good.
Yeah.
It'd be worse if one of you hated doing that.
We feed off of each other. It's really bad. But we had our Whispering Canyon Cafe. No joke. We had 3 times. Because we were like, well, what if we don't want to do this? But, all right, well, I'll go ahead and get a 10 o'clock just in case. But what if we decide to do lunch? Okay, well, I'll go ahead and grab a lunch. And then we're as it gets closer, we're dropping those reservations and, finally narrowing it down to how we want to do things. Yeah, it's hilarious. You should see our text messages. It's insane.
That's funny. Well, hey, listen. If it works...
Hey, but it's so fun. It's what helps me keep up that excitement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's more of a build up.
Yeah, because people ask all the time, you're going to Disney again, and it's well, yeah, and this is what helps it stay fresh for me. Yes, I'm going to the exact same place. I might be staying in the exact same resort, but I'm making different plans and trying different things. And because there are so many options, it's like, we've never done this before. We've never done this before. We've never done it in this way before. So
yeah, no, I know what you mean about the new stuff, because Disneyland has a lot fewer choices, but about twice a year, my mom and I just go together for a weekend to just hang out, and we challenge ourselves each trip to find a new experience, which can be really hard because Disneyland is so small, but it makes it feel kind of new when you do something different,
Definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, I could totally see that. It's probably a good time to wrap it up before we
before she changes her mind about giving you her stamp of approval.
That's right. Before she.
If I start overthinking it, I will just make you give me your password, and I will do it.
She's gonna add me to her text group with her sister, and they're gonna start telling me what I'm doing wrong.
Oh, that's scary.
It really would be scary. It's not even funny.
For your safety, we request that you remain on the promenade.
It's great, though.
All right, it is. No, like you said, hey, it keeps it, because those conversations happen often with, just one quick thing before we go. So, I got a call from my boss's son on Friday.
Thank you.
They took a trip down to Orlando because his sister got engaged. And I guess they got engaged down there. I guess he proposed to her in the Magic Kingdom, I guess in front of the castle or whatever. So he said, so we're here for the weekend or whatever it was. He said, well, what do you recommend? So I was like, well, I need a little more information than that. I said, you guys staying on property? What, how many days are you there? What are you gonna? So this is a group of kids who are between 25 and 30 or 31. So 10 plus years younger than me. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right. I said, so let's see, what's going on there now? That would be cool. That would be different. Now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't even think about Disney Springs just because my mind doesn't go there, because with young children, that's not the first place I'm going to go and hang out because...
It stresses me out.
Well, there's nothing to do during the day. I don't need to go to the mall. I don't shop.
Right.
And none of them are going to... You're not going to bar hop with children because what the hell are they going to do? I mean, I can grab a drink and walk around, but that's not fun for anybody but me. So I didn't even think of that to send them there. So I said, you know what? I said, there's a cool little thing going on over at Epcot called Festival of the Arts. I said, it's in the World Showcase half of the park. I said, if you guys are there for 2 days, and I never really got where they were staying, so I don't know if they were on property or not. So I said, go hang out at Epcot. I said, there's some stuff to do in the front end of the park called Future World. There's some attractions to do. You definitely do some of those. I didn't even get into Fastpass or anything else because it didn't seem like they were, I didn't have time to have a 45-minute conversation with them. So I said, just head to the back. It's called World Showcase. It's 11 countries. There's going to be some other food offerings, quick bites. I said, there's some cool art displays and interactive things you can do. And I said, I think for you guys, that'll probably be a lot of fun and something you could probably do for a few hours, 2 separate times or whatever. So I haven't heard back from them. I don't know if they're back. I didn't speak to my boss today, so I don't know if any of them came back. But I thought that was interesting. And then actually just before we started recording, my cousin is going down to get the rest of the information. So she just texted me with the frantic, I don't know what to do with any of my fast passes. And her kids are young. I think they're 3 and 5. So she's like, I just don't know what to book and when and how and this, that, so I sent her the same thing. I said, well, give me some details. When are you guys going? Where are you staying? And so on and so forth. I said, and honestly, I can't do this through text, or I could probably email you a thing. I said, but why don't you just call me tomorrow? Because I can't. By the time I collect my thoughts in typing everything, I'm much better at just speaking to people. So,
like, honest to goodness, you have no idea how excited I am to talk about this, because I've worked for the same company for about 4 years, but I transferred to a new location about 1.5 years ago. And it's just now, like maybe 3 months ago, starting to come out how insane I am about Disney World. So it's been fun to kind of watch the dawning of my coworkers.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, no, I know. I'm excited to talk about this too, because I have a family of insane Disney people, so like I said before, I'm not sure where I rank on that list, but yeah, we'll get into that in that episode. So Yeah, look for that coming soon. That's for sure. And I know we're definitely have Milford give a recap of his last minute cruise. It was a Marvel cruise he was doing. It was a Marvel, Star Wars. I don't know. There was something going on that is why he jumped on it so quick. So I'm definitely interested in hearing about that. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll talk to everybody next week. Follow our troupe at www.dizexplorers.com, where you can find all the links for all our hosts' social media accounts. You can also follow the podcast on our Facebook group at the Diz Explorers and on Twitter and Instagram at the Diz Explorers. You can download this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio, and also on YouTube. Thanks for listening.
Hope you had a good time. So long from Jiminy Cricket and Spectro Magic.